What's up, y'all? My name is Devin, the DIY lawn coach. Hope you are having a great day. Hope things are going well for you. Thank you so much for checking out the video. I've got a really good one planned for us. Winter weeds, they're starting to pop up kind of everywhere. And so I want to walk the lawn with you guys, show you what they look like so that if you are dealing with them in your lawn, you know how to identify them. And then make sure you stay around towards the end of the video because I'm going to give you some tips and some tricks and things that you can do to either prevent them or eliminate them if you're seeing them in your lawn. Welcome to all the new subscribers. If you are checking out my channel for the first time, I want to say welcome. We're so glad to have you. So here on this channel, we are DIY specific. I don't deal in the professional realm. I like to help DIYers get a beautiful lawn and give you tips and tricks and things that you can do to also get that beautiful lawn. Cool season, so if you're a warm season guy, you're welcome to hang out and stay around with us. We'd love to have you, but we are all about cool season lawns here on this channel. So if you haven't already, hit that like button, consider subscribing to the channel, and then as always, leave me a comment down below. I love to know what you guys are thinking about the video. Love to kind of know what's going on in your lawns and get to meet you and all that good stuff. And again, all of that helps me grow my channel, helps the YouTube algorithm, and will help me grow. And that's ultimately, I just want to reach and help as many people as I possibly can. So if you guys look behind me, you'll see we have a mess to clean up. We had a cold front come through. Winds were pretty gusty, 30 miles an hour or so. And I've got these massive pine trees behind me, and it dropped a bunch of pine needles all over the lawn. So before we get to talking about weeds, I've got to clean up this mess. Now, here in the South, we have a lot of pine trees, and pine trees drop pine needles. And we have to get them up. I can't leave them on the lawn. I could just take my mower and just mulch them up, but that's not gonna get them up, right? It's just gonna cut them up and they're gonna lay in the soil. And so that's gonna mess with the pH of the soil. So I have to take the time to get them out. So what I'm gonna do is break out the backpack blower, and I'm gonna come in and we're just gonna blow all of this stuff back into those natural areas and get it cleaned up. Then once we do that, then I'll bring the camera in and we'll walk around and I'll show you guys the winter weeds that we've been talking about. So again, thank you so much for checking out the video. I'm gonna get busy and I'll see you guys in just a minute.
I don't know if I have it in me to try. I see a shut door even when it's open wide. All I want is happiness. So give it to me now. Get away from the mess.
All right, so now that that's over, man, that's quite a chore. That usually happens a couple times a year when I have to take care of those pine needles, but it stinks. Let me just tell you, you guys that are up north that don't have pine trees like us, ooh, just be glad. All right, so let's start talking about weeds. Just like every other weed category, first of all, we're talking about winter weeds, weeds that show up in the wintertime. And I think the Mac Daddy of them all is Poa annua. So let me flip the camera around and show you guys what Poa annua looks like. All right, so as I mentioned, the one that people probably fear the most, the one that strikes the most fear in all of us cool season lawn owners is Poa annua. And that's exactly what we have right here. It's the telltale sign of Poa annua is these little seed heads, these little white seed heads. Now, I had a comment in another video when I made my Poa annua video that said, hey, Poa annua doesn't germinate, it doesn't go to seed in the fall. Well, it does when temperatures are 80, 85 degrees for this late in the season, but this is exactly what we have. So this plant is gonna survive all winter long, and then it'll go through a big growth surge in the springtime. And then when it gets hot, this plant will eventually die. These seeds are gonna drop on the ground, and then a new plant, a new crop, the following fall is going to germinate. So, this one's a real pisser offer in the name of Connor Ward. This is just a tough weed to take care of, especially in a cool season lawn. The best way to take care of Poa annua, this is an annual, so again, the growth habit of this plant is it's gonna die and then these seeds are gonna germinate, but the best way to take care of this is with a pre-emergent in the fall when soil temperatures are falling to 70 degrees. So obviously soil temperatures in the summertime are gonna be higher than 70, it could be upwards of 80 degrees, and then as they're falling towards 70, we wanna put down a pre-emergent to stop these little seeds from germinating and thus causing all of this going through here. This is all Poa annua all the way through here. So let's keep walking and I'll show you guys some more winter weeds. All right, so we're not gonna have to go far to find this one. And this is called chickweed. You can tell, let me clear these leaves out of the way. You can really tell chickweed because it's kind of got a viney look to it. Yeah, I don't know if that's a word, but you can just tell. I mean, you can see by the leaf tissue, this is chickweed. It's got a very aggressive growth pattern. It will take over an area. It really likes wet environments. This is an annual, so it comes back every year. It's not like a perennial. Remember, perennials like a Poa triv, they survive all year long. This one will go to seed. It'll lay those seeds down just like Poa annua will, and it'll come back every year. But this is this is chickweed. All right, so the next winter weed I want to show you guys is called hairy bittercress. And something that Alan Hain would say is that was his nickname in college. I just can't help but laugh. But this is hairy bittercress. This is a very common, very easy to control. So again, remember, we're gonna stick around to the end of the video and I'm gonna tell you guys how to take care of all these weeds. But this is hairy bittercress. Easy way to tell it is you can see everything kind of comes into the middle. So I'll kind of get really close here. Show you see how it all comes down to a point. Pulls up really easy. It's got a really strong pull out game. I'm just being so bad today, I guess. But yeah, hairy bittercress. Really problem weed here in the winters, but super easy to take care of. Here is another really popular winter weed. Let's see if you guys know what this is. All right, this is called Henbit. This is a weed that you typically will see really heavily in the springtime because this is when it'll really go to flower and get really nasty. Yeah, so this is Henbit, another winter annual. Okay, so again, we'll talk about later in the video how to take care of it. This is all Henbit. All right, let's look at this. What is this guy right here? See him? What is that? Well, it's one of two things. I honestly don't know what this is. It's either wild onion or wild garlic. I'm gonna probably go with wild onion. Really the only way you'd know is I gotta dig up the root ball to figure out what it is. But wild onion, wild garlic are not annuals. They are perennials. So they are treated a little bit different. They've got a little bit different growth pattern, but that's wild onion or wild garlic. All right, so we covered a lot of weeds there. So let's talk about how we control them or things that we can do to control these weeds. Now, the best and most effective way to take care of weeds is to make sure that we have a thick stand of turf. All right, a thick stand of turf that's well fed is going to resist weeds just because it's going to have more competition to compete with the area in your lawn, right? Plus, not to mention, the thick turf will not allow sunlight, water, nutrients down to eventually let those weeds germinate. The second best way to prevent any of these weeds is, like we talked about with the Poa annua, is through a pre-emergent. Now that can be applied, again, like the Poa annua, that can be applied when temperatures are falling, soil temperatures are falling towards 70 degrees. So thick stand of turf, using a pre-emergent to stop the emergence of the weeds, those are your best option. Now, once you have weeds, you actively see them in your lawn, you then have to reach for what's called a post-emergent, meaning post, pre meaning before you see the weeds, post meaning after. So we're gonna apply a post-emergent. So the most important thing you can do is make sure you properly identify the weed that you're targeting. Super important, obviously a waste of time, money, and energy to be applying a product to the lawn that is not labeled to control that weed. So before we get talking about chemicals, I do have to say, make sure you always read the labels. Label is the law and you always want to follow that. But when it comes to taking care of most of these winter weeds, and we're talking that hairy bittercress, the chickweed, the henbit, you know, we want to look for anything that has 2,4-D, dicamba will work great. So something like this Ortho Weed Clear would be fantastic, except for one thing. We're talking about winter weeds, so temperature really becomes an issue. And the temperature, the air temperature has to be high enough for the weeds to be actively growing. You know, think about it for a second. That weed control has to be absorbed into the plant, and the plant has to then move it through its, system for it to interrupt its cell division. And so that's how it kills the plant. And so in order to help aid and get a better kill and a better contact, I would recommend something like this. It's called Turflawn Ester. So Turflawn Ester is an ester-based formula. So what that means is it's going to help you get better control because it's an ester. But you have to be very careful with ester-based herbicides because they are very temperature sensitive. You apply this in the summertime and you're very likely to burn your surrounding turf. So you know how the weed controls will say safe for lawns? Well, that's because they're not ester-based. So the best ester-based herbicide that I can recommend is Gordon's Speed Zone, and I'll link that down below where you can go check that out. Also, I'll leave links down below for that Ortho weed killer that I just showed earlier. So like I said, just to kind of summarize everything, the best way to control weeds is a healthy, thick stand of turf. Hope you guys found the video helpful. If you will, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Make sure you hit that like button. Please consider subscribing if you found the video helpful. My name is Devin. I'm the DIY Lawn Coach, and I can't wait to see you in the lawn. Peace.
Losing myself again in your smoke when I praise you.